If someone came up to you today and walked up to you and said, wow, Richard, you got a nice car, you got a nice lifestyle, and, I see you're taking great care of your family. What do you do? Well, I'm a professional real estate appraiser. Oh, I could never do that. What would be your response?
Sure you could. You just have to do this, and this.
Why do you know that everyone else could do it?
Because I did it. I came from nothing and started with nothing and got to where I'm at doing what I'm doing, just with a lot of hours and hard work.
And everyone says, I wish I could do that, and we all go, it was nothing. I could teach you how to do it. Got to get the pop.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Gano Radio. Hi, Scott Lara here with GanoJacksonville.com in sunny Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Mr. Rich Ferris of Freedom by 2, the number 2, freedomby2.com in Clermont, Florida. Rich, how are you today?
Doing great today, Scott. Good to be with you again. I'm very excited about part 2 of our conversation with Robert Hollis, Sr., on the pop. And so, without any further ado, we're going to join part 2 of our conversation that we recorded previously with Robert Hollis, Sr., continuing the discussion of the pop.
This happened to me, pop. This was told to me, pop. This happened to me, pop. And you hear me telling the story the whole way through my presentation, even in residual income or the product. I tell my story that, I met Jovan. He told me the story. I popped about residual. I went out and met Mr. Liao. I popped. I met General Lee that's making $1.6 million a month. I popped. Now, these pops are like road signs to me. If I'm driving from here to Florida and I feel like I'm lost and all of a sudden a sign pops up and says, guess what, another 700 miles to Miami, I know I'm on the right path.
Well, I feel like I'm having a coming to Jesus moment here, and everyone's getting a chance to listen in on this.
Good.
Yeah, because, I've often even said to my wife, I know I could do this and do this business and it's going to be successful. And, we've seen, I'll be honest, I've seen a little bit of success, but not the amount of success, of course, that I dream about. And I've been with Gano Excel for, I think, over a year now. And I often categorize myself as someone who was, I'm a lifelong customer regardless of if I make money. I'm one of those that your son talked about, where I'm going to buy the product no matter what. Even if I don't ever make another dime, I'm still going to buy the product because I love it. And so I know I'm sold on that, and I've told my wife even before, honey, geez, if I could just do this full time, like if I lost my ability to do real estate appraisals and I had to do something, I know I would be forced to go and just do this. And I'm realizing as you're speaking now, exactly what you're saying is true. I haven't had that pop yet, because if I had, I'd be going and doing the things you're talking about.
Right, because as little time as it could take, if you really had the pop, then when you talk to people and you said to them, listen, I know you're busy, but listen, you got to know some people that are really successful, that love making residual income, that love leveraging income. And they go, all of a sudden, because of the way that you talk and the tonality, and they know that, they feel or sense that you know what you're doing, you now get introduced to people like Scotty B. Merker and Matt Troni and Mike Accurso. You start getting introduced to people, and think about it, Richard, you'd only need to be introduced to one person on your left team and one person on your right team, and you have a full-time income. But when you don't have the pop, when you talk to people, because when I finally figured this out and I talked to Scott about this, I always had difficulty explaining this to people because people go, well, what if they ask you about, how much money you're making? Or what if they ask you, exactly what the capsules are made out of? Or what if they ask you if they're open in Bangladesh? And I'm going like, wow, I never get asked the questions that people that haven't gotten a pop get asked. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Because no one asked me the question. So when people go, well, what if someone said they were busy? Or what if someone said they didn't have any money? Because I've had the pop and I'm so passionate and I'm so enthusiastic and thesis, God within, because I've had the realization of what I'm going to do with Mr. Liao with Gano Excel, people just look at me and go, I'm in. I don't quite understand it, but I'm in. What do I got to do? Well, can you introduce me to the people you know? Sure can. They don't ask me the questions that they ask people that don't have the pop.
You know, Robert, it's so funny hearing Richard talking with you, and he's saying, and I'm sitting over here on my side, and I'm muted for the conversation, and I'm saying it at exactly the same time, because when you and I talked the other day, I was the same way, like my mind was exploding. And I guess the only example I think we as guys could maybe think about this is when we first met our wives. She was the air we breathed. She was the water we drank. And we didn't want to be away from them. And we figured out some way, oh, I sure hope there isn't some other guy that's richer or better looking because I want her. And I think that's a way that I can kind of express the pop too. And I think even Robert Hollis Jr., when he said he would drive by the BMW dealership and see the M3, it was a pop. And he didn't ask, what are the size of those tires and where was the carburetor made or how many miles per gallon. He knew he wanted the M3, and Scott Lara has watched him on that YouTube video more times than I can tell you, seeing him spinning out in that parking lot, and he loves his M3. That was his thing, and he achieved it. And so as we're getting ready to kind of end up, Robert, I just want to give you a couple more minutes. Just share in closing what you want to share with us, and we'll head out.
Well, just like you were talking about with your wife, I know I shared, a lot of different pops with people, and again, I can't wait to share some really good info with people. But I even shared that. Each and every one of the listeners will get a kick out of this because if you go back to another pop that I think is more on an emotional level and a spiritual level, but isn't it hilarious when it's one thing that I think that all people do. Not all people tease people, but we have fun with young children, and they get that at that age 9 or 10. I don't know what age it is, depending on the child, because we all grow different. God's made us all very unique. And I can remember my uncle asking me if I had a girlfriend, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Ick, gross. What are you talking about? That's a stupid. I'm hunting. I'm fishing. I'm riding bicycles. I'm making go-karts. What are you talking about, girls? This is like ridiculous." And so all of a sudden, you get a little older, and of course, nature takes its course, and you get curious. And I can remember I was probably unfortunate because the first 2 kisses that I had, I was going, now I really don't get it. I thought it was gross before, but I just don't get why people would even bother doing this. It's like, and I'm very analytical, so I got, germaphobe or whatever's going through my head, and I just didn't get it. And then got a little older, decided, well, everybody's making a big deal out of it. I might as well try it, and I got the pop. And I know that everyone on this call, I hopefully believe that everyone listening to your radio is, you finally have that kiss where you just go, got it. Now, isn't it amazing? The same way I feel about helping people succeed in life is the same as that kiss. Once you experience that and you sort of like leave your body and it seems like time stops. And, it's the closest to heaven that I've been. And it's like all of a sudden it's like, man, I want to experience that over and over again. I want to experience as much as possible. And, now being with, my wife Terry for 28 years, I no longer feel the same way I used to feel about kissing. I like it. I enjoy it. I love it. So with that said, I just want people to know that you need to start thinking about the happiest times in your life. I'm not just talking on an emotional level or relationship level, but on a spiritual level. There's people that are on this call, again on this radio, and I know that you know when you had that pop on a spiritual level. And for some of you that haven't, you need it. And so guess what? You can have that same pop on a physical level. You can have that same pop on a financial level. When I heard about residual income and I really studied it and understood it, I'm ruined.